And welcome back to episode 79 of the Weekly Tech Rant with me, Jay.
And me, Carl.
Well, Carl, this episode of the Weekly Tech Rant is brought to you in conjunction with COVID. Oh, God.
Again, last week's wasn't COVID, but it wasn't pretty from my end. Now, this time you've got COVID.
I've got confirmed COVID. Well, I'm on the back end of it, to be fair. I mean,
You are.
yes, it was a lot worse at the weekend. If we'd been trying to record this on Saturday, this probably wasn't going to happen.
Delay till next week.
But yes, it's all good so far. I have had a dose of COVID. I'm feeling better than I was. But yes, I can only say hallelujah for vaccines.
Oh, yeah.
But yes, this week we are back for our normal scheduled programming following the peak performance Apple event of the past week. We've managed to finally digest everything that was said and done that week and picked it back up on our usual rant of tech stories that have come our way this week, haven't we? It is, unfortunately, though, a bit of an NVIDIA heavy week, though. Do you not feel?
Yes. Yeah, actually, you're right. Yeah, it is quite NVIDIA heavy.
But we've got a sprinkling of Google, a bit of was. We'll come more to that. And, of course, the rumour mill is back again. And with that, then, let's get kicked off this evening with the first story of the week, then, which is another silicon story. Silicon, it just seems to be everything we talk about in the last 2 years has been silicon, hasn't it?
It is, but this is new silicon, Jay.
Sorry, yes, new silicon. Pray tell, Carl, pray tell.
This is a new standard, the Universal Chiplet Interconnect Express, or UCIe. See what I did there? A bit like PCIe, but UCIe.
Very good.
For sure. So this is a new, excuse me, kind of open standard interconnect. So we spoke a couple of weeks back about Intel's new, is it Meteor Lake and above processors? And we mentioned then that they were starting to use chiplets, much like AMD do, where rather than building one monolithic piece of silicon, like 16 cores, instead you might have a pair of 8-core CPUs joined together by a really fast interconnect. So like Apple did last week with their M1 Ultra, wasn't it? Where they're using their Ultra Fusion interconnect to basically join 2 bits of silicon together. So anyway, this is an open alliance with the aim of building an open standard spec for people to be able to take chips and join in with a common interconnect format. So Intel are on board, along with AMD, ARM, Qualcomm, TSMC, Samsung, Microsoft, Google, and many others. However...
there's always that however, isn't there?
There is. Well, we kind of expect Apple weren't going to be in it. They're doing everything their own now, aren't they? But surprisingly, NVIDIA's not on board at the moment.
That's puzzling, given you thought that if TSMC were there, Samsung, ARM themselves, and Qualcomm, you'd think of, and AMD, of course, but you'd think NVIDIA would want to be playing a part of that. Surely they can't be going their own road on this point, because if this is becoming an industry standard, or will likely be an industry standard, you'd want to be a part of that, surely? No,
exactly. I mean, AMD have got their own proprietary one called Infinity Fabric, but they've said they're going to be transitioning as time goes on to this new UCIe interconnect format. another acronym. So yeah, I would have hoped that NVIDIA will. I can see why. Even Intel. I mean, it's actually came from their standard, and they've open sourced it. But Intel as a fab, I can see why they'd want to use it. The customers can come to them and say, "Right, I want some of your cores here. I want to chuck an AMD GPU on board, some other specialist silicon there. Join it all with one interconnect, and you'll make it for me." So yeah, from a fab point of view, I can see why Intel and Samsung, even TSMC, are on board. I think it just makes sense. Make everyone's life a bit easier.
Interesting approach, though. I guess as you say that Intel had this as one of their ideas, and they've now open sourced it. But the fact then that everybody else in the industry is aligned to it shows that there's got to be merit in going down the road of using the chiplet ecosystem. And what did you call it? The UCIe standard to go down that road. I mean, as you say, we've seen most of the modern chips today are the stock, the integrated stocks, aren't they? With memory controllers, everything on board. That efficiency cores, high performance cores. Again, there's a real breakdown from the old style of here is a dirty great big CPU that runs fast, isn't it? And just does everything. And the boards do everything. I suppose it's got to go somewhere. What's puzzling, though, as you say, is that Nvidia aren't there, but will this become a standard? I suppose, and also, what performance gain, if anything, will we get from it? AMD clearly
Don't know.
see some gain here from what they've been doing already, haven't they, with the Infinity Fabric?
Yeah, I mean, it's based on the PCI Express and a related one called Compute Express Link. So it's based on current standards. It seems fairly quick, although on a bit of digging, not as fast as Apple's. Is it 2.5 terabytes? But apparently, in its 1.0 specification, you can have either a standard 16-lane interconnect or an advanced 64-lane interconnect, and the 64-lane one will actually apparently go up to around 1.5 terabytes a second.
Oh, that's not bad.
And
Not
that,
bad at all.
so not it's not it gets better. And that's using current 45 micrometer technology. But the spec allows you to go down to 25 micrometer technology, which would actually give you a bandwidth of 3.8 terabytes a second. So
Okay,
there's even in its 1.0 spec, there's some good headroom there.
I'm in. I could take some of that performance gain. That would be pretty good.
Exactly. So yeah, I
Whether or
think
not I
Nvidia
get
will
use out of
join.
it.
I think once Intel and AMD and ARM are all using this, that I think Nvidia will come on board.
I was just going to say I would be very surprised if Nvidia were not on board, because they typically do support industry standards. They do, showcase a lot of the technology. Look at the partnerships they've done with Intel, particularly over the years. Even people like VMware as well. They did with the SmartNICs as well, isn't it? They've
Yes,
shown to do to work with other vendors there to have standardization. So yeah, I would be surprised if they didn't go down that road. But who
Apple
knows?
not so much.
No, who knows? Who knows? Ah, well, from one mega standard. That's not quite right. From one mega organization to perhaps another. Then, Google have been spending some cash, not buying standards, I should say, but buying up companies, particular startups, haven't they?
They have. I think they've been slowly doing this secretly in the background. It's just kind of come out recently. But yeah, over the last 15 months, they've bought 4 audio companies,
Yeah.
which I didn't hear anything about whatsoever.
I would say is this for stealth audio companies, by the sound of it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously, there was a whole legal battle with Sonos going on, wasn't there?
Oh,
Which
yes, there
Sonos
was,
won,
wasn't there?
and Google kind of had to immediately stop selling products and put out software updates, and you can no longer control the volume of groups of speakers in the Google ecosystem, because that was one of the patents that they infringed from Sonos. But yeah, it looks like they've been bolstering up their patent portfolio and their expertise. So they bought a company called Synaptics, not the people that make your touchpads.
I'm
But
just going to
no.
say.
Well, sorry, they didn't buy the company. They took over part of the company's. They took over the company's audio hardware business for 35 million, and that allowed them to get their hands on some patents covering things like balanced stereo headphones and active noise cancelling earbuds, along with key members of staff. What else
So
they did?
this,
Yeah,
so this definitely sounds more like then they are buying the technology then, as opposed to the
they
companies
are.
themselves.
Exactly. Well, I mean, they bought something called Dysonics, where they bought the whole company, and that they specialize in 3D audio authoring software and motion tracked hardware. So this sounds like this is going to be their competitor, Spatial Audio, from the Apple side.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then
Is-
there
do
was.
you-
Go ahead.
I was going to say, do you think they'll do anything along the lines of like the custom audio chips? So obviously Apple have that in the
It
headphones.
might
Is
be.
I want to say the W1? Is that W1? Is that the one they have in the?
Yeah. W1. Yes, I think that's the audio one, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that is. I'm just trying to think, because if you look at what Google are doing today, as you say, the before it's all on the hubs. The Sonos PCs before
Yep.
the there's they had obviously a new chip for the Pixels, didn't they? The Tensor chip is on the Pixels in that, but there's nothing they haven't got anything really audio specific, have they? They've got the Google
No.
earbuds, they've got the speakers, but they're not like HomePods, are they? If you know what I'm saying?
No, they're not. No.
They don't really. I wouldn't say they had an audio division. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. They do audio, but it's not. It doesn't seem to be a specialization for them.
No. I just, yeah, I'm just interested by this. It definitely, to me, does look like it's buying intellectual property as opposed to the companies to try and safeguard them
Yeah, there was a lot
to
of
do that.
a lot of this is about patents. They either
Oh,
bought part of a company or a whole company.
it just reminded me. Of course, they have the Chromecast audio. I've got one in a drawer somewhere.
Good product then, well used.
Fantastic product.
No,
Um,
I know a lot of people do use them. Obviously, I don't. I use actually Sonos, so I think you've got the Home Pods, haven't you? But you've got Sonos as well.
I've got one Sonos
Oh, you
that,
got rid of some, didn't you?
yeah, so I got rid of all my Sonos apart from the IKEA Sonos that is, oh, brain is not working. The the,
Oh, is that in the kitchen?
yeah, the kitchen. So, which basically runs as an AirPlay. Um,
Got a receiver, yeah.
yeah, that's it. It runs as an AirPlay receiver. It doesn't do anything with Sonos network. Everything we've moved completely away to HomePods. So we have four of those in the house, um, and they work absolutely fine. No issues whatsoever.
Yeah.
Would I go back to Sonos? I don't think I would now.
Hmm. I
But
don't
the
know.
Chromecast, well, say the Chromecast audio though was bought to do, um, basically you can make dumb audio equipment smart.
Yeah.
And it's got 3.5 jack on it. It's quite a handy bit of kit. But like I say, did I ever use it? I think twice. You know.
No, no. I mean, and I think I bought into the Sonos ecosystem because I bought into it a long time ago, before streaming was really a thing, and it was a great way of getting all my ripped CDs, in MP3s or WAV from my NAS, out around the house. But as you know, I think we find ourselves listening to more and more of Spotify. Do I really need the expensive Sonoses?
Well, this is it, isn't it?
I
Yeah.
don't know. Possibly
It,
not, but do I want to spend all that money to replace them? No, not at this moment.
no, it basically just becomes, as you say, an AirPlay receiver. That's effectively all
Yeah.
you're needing, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Very interesting. But they also have been spending some big cash. So they spent 50 million
Oh, yeah.
on some audio companies, but they also spent 5.4 billion on buying Mandiant. So Mandiant, if anybody's going, who the hell are Mandiant? Well, Mandiant are a cybersecurity company,
Yep.
and they have a recent claim to fame was they uncovered the SolarWinds breach, didn't they? Which, well, let's be honest, that wasn't a particularly pleasant experience, was it? Of the SolarWinds hack, which pretty much
No, not at all.
most of the US government, plus even Microsoft, wasn't it, and many many other corporate entities across the
Yeah,
world.
it was a huge one.
It was huge, yeah. So what are they getting then for the 5.4 billion? Then they are buying the whole company, as I understand,
They
is it?
are for all cash as well. No, no, no stock exchange. It's all cash. So they're getting 600 security consultants and 300 intelligence analysts. But their plan
Wow.
is to create an end-to-end security operations suite in G Cloud.
Well, I guess
Yeah,
they've got to find somewhere to get people to buy into Google Cloud, I suppose.
they have. Yeah, yeah. Interesting to see how that one pans out. It's quite a big spend for them.
It is, and I think there were some rumors swirling around previously that Microsoft were looking at buying Mandiant, weren't
Yeah,
they? And that would have made, I guess, more of a logical fit given the fact of Microsoft Security as a player now, huge entity in the security market,
yeah,
very, very powerful, and I'm going to say it, good tools. I have to say they are good
yeah,
tools, and also their well, they're not offensive security, but their security services team are well known within the business as well for responding to incidents. Whether or not they're public or not, they've held the hands of many organisations through attacks. One that does come to mind is one of their case studies was Norsk Hydro, which was the NotPetya attack. A few years back.
yeah,
They were involved in helping to remediate and stop that and research it. So yeah, it would have seemed a more logical piece for them to go to somebody like Microsoft. But Google, I
yeah.
suppose, need to bolster their cloud offering,
They do,
and
and they have
also,
their is it Project Zero security
yeah,
team, don't they? Who are
research team, yeah.
good and well known, the research team. But yeah, you're right. They don't really have a team that go out and help companies recover.
No, and I think the SolarWinds breach brought Mandiant to the forefront of everybody's attention. Actually, they were very, a good company, well known for it. But definitely that gave them a lot of kudos, and people suddenly were like, I suppose, well, actually, maybe we could buy them. Let's go
Yeah.
here. But as I say, you got to have something to bolster the Google Cloud offering, because who the hell is buying GCP? Not as many people as I think they'd like to be.
I forget it's even there. When I go to think of even just cloud hosting, I never think of Google.
No, not at all.
It's Azure and AWS are the top two that come to mind, and maybe Rackspace.
Well, yeah, but I think with Google, it's a case of, do I want to invest in a company that has a very good track record of killing off a product? Um,
That's it. Oh, a new one came out of beta the other day. Is it Google Domains? Came out of a 7-year beta this morning.
Sorry, 7-year beta.
Google Domains is their registrar, isn't it? We can go buy
Yeah.
your domains. Yeah, it's been in beta for the last 7 years, so it's finally no longer a beta product.
I didn't realize it'd been that. I knew they had it. I didn't realize it was 7 years.
Yeah.
Holy
7 years to come out of beta. They'll probably be killed next week.
I think this is it. They brought it out of beta to
Beta tag means nothing.
Beta tag means you might have some safety. Being a GA product is now where we can kill you off.
Yeah, they've got to make money on it now.
Definitely. Well, good luck, Mandiant. We'll be interested to hear more about how that integration goes. At the moment, very early days for them. But yes, if you are Mandiant, you're now a Noogler as you've joined Google. Do you get the hat with the little propeller on it? I guess you would do.
I
I
think
suppose
you might do.
Yeah,
I'd be disappointed if I didn't.
I would be too. Well, from Google then, let's talk Apple. Well, not specifically Apple. I guess that was a bit of a misnomer, wasn't it? Let's talk
Apple
Steve
from a long time ago.
The man who could have had more money but he didn't want it.
He's done all right.
So was his interesting character, isn't he? He gets up to a few different things, but he's apparently been up to something else then with his latest stealth startup. I hate saying that word.
I know.
Which it's got a funky name and a funky mission, isn't it? So they're called Privateer, and they are a space tracking company who have released an app called Wayfinder.
Yeah, so this kind of allows they put up a globe on their website and allows you to spin it around, add layers, and kind of visualize and track the orbiting satellites and space debris.
This is awesome. I've seen similar representations before, but this is awesome, and it also is scary, isn't it? Because if you
there's
zoom
an awful
out,
lot of stuff up there.
Yeah, if you zoom out, and I mean really zoom out, there is a shed ton of stuff out there. Absolutely.
Oh yes.
Shed ton of stuff. And it's, there is more stuff I think than we give credit for.
It's an awfully big ring around Earth.
It is indeed, isn't it? And when you click on some of the things to discover what they are, you're like, what the hell is that? I clicked on one of the further things away. It turned out it was a piece of Chinese rocket.
Oh really?
That US Spacecom is tracking, and it is I can't remember how many million miles, but it's a long way out. It's like very, very far. I was trying to find what's it called, the James Webb Telescope, but I couldn't find it.
Oh, what about the old Tesla that Musk sent up on a rocket?
Oh yeah,
that's
orbiting the sun, I think now.
Oh, is it?
But I think it's a great thing. I will be doing some more research on it, but I think it's a fantastic. I was about to say it's a fantastic app, but that's not really what they're here for, is it? They're here for a lot more than that, and they're what they're trying to do is helping humanity. Their tagline is, "We are committed to helping humanity treat the space environment as if our lives depend on it," because they do.
Yeah.
And Wayfinder is the first app that they're going to release based on their data engine. Yep. And it's an open access, near real-time visualization of satellites and debris in Earth orbit. So they're basically trying to do something to track space, what's in space, and the impact and the damage that it can have to us, really, isn't it? Around communications and everything else.
Yeah, I think at the moment they're taking data from a couple of different sources: the U.S. Space Command, Planet Labs, Vimpel, which is a Russian entity, and CSAT. They do have plans to launch their own satellites called Tono, which apparently is Hawaiian for "do the right thing."
There's some irony there, though, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. They're launching satellites to track satellites.
You're like, But it
Well,
is a very cool project, though.
it is. I can see the reason for them sending their own kit up. Otherwise, they're just relaying other people's data, aren't they? They're just an aggregator. They want to add more value than that.
You're right, and I think to do that they need to be almost agnostic, isn't it? In what they're
Yeah.
doing. But I mean, it just is scary what is up there. When you click on some of the random stuff, it's just and some stuff is quite close to us on some, and then other stuff
Yeah.
is a long way. And it's when you zoom out, and you can see almost like it's like a halo effect around the Earth, and you're like, how do we launch rockets into that mass?
Oh, yeah. I don't know how they get up there.
Because when I zoom out and you can't see the Earth, but basically the Earth becomes like an orange ball because of all the orange in there, and then the
Yeah.
rest is like pink, and you're like, that is a lot of stuff, a lot of
It is.
stuff,
Yeah.
and it's just like we how do we how do we launch anything? How do we survive up there? How does no satellite get destroyed? And I know it sounds a very simplistic statement, but when you see how much debris as well as actual working satellites are up there, you do start to think to yourself, this is quite scary. I mean, I wonder what other civilizations are like, because again, that's one of the things is that, if we can't, we're not, if there are other space races, if there are other space faring,
Yeah. Species.
civilizations,
Yep.
yeah, it's, what do their worlds look like, and well, how did they clean them up? I mean, okay, nobody's going to ring us up and tell us that, but there's a lot of stuff up here, and we're only going to make this worse because we've been putting stuff into space for what,
Yeah.
60, not even 70 years.
No.
Yet there are thousands upon thousands of items that are orbiting our
Yeah.
planet at the moment.
And that's going to get exponential as the years progress.
We do a good job, don't we, of polluting everything we come into contact with.
Some would say it's our unique selling point.
It really is, isn't it? I mean, when you think about it, the bulk of that stuff is debris. It is
Oh, yeah.
absolutely absurd to think what we have done. But
That's not
anyway,
all working satellites and machines that are doing jobs. It's just junk.
well, no, I mean, because they categorize it as active satellites, inactive satellites, rocket debris. So inactive satellites, rocket bodies, sorry, debris, and then uncategorized. So what the
Yeah.
hell's uncategorized? I mean, is that just a piece
That's
of
parts
metal?
of rockets that have come
Yeah,
apart. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, the Starlink ones are brilliant. So the Starlink ones, you can find them because there's like a ring of them, and it's like 10
There
satellites in
are,
a
yeah.
line. I mean, and again, they're not very big, are they? Those they're like a cube shape, I think, aren't they? Those satellites.
They are quite small, yeah.
But just sorry, it blows my mind when you you just zoom out on it. But yeah, so what's that then is working on that. They've been in stealth mode for some time now, but obviously up and running, and are going to go out there to, she say, to put more information in space for tracking with their satellites and their services. And one of the things they want to do is provide like a Find My iPhone style for satellites, which made me
Really?
laugh. Yeah, when I read that,
Now, where
like,
did I place that satellite
where did
again?
I lose my satellite? Oh, hang on a minute. Toot, toot. Oh, yes, it's 330,000 feet above your head. Hey, I
Oh,
found
and
it.
what's the wife doing over there?
Yeah, that would be worrying. But yeah, very cool. I'm definitely going to be playing with this some more. So this will be in our show notes, and have a look at it. But the other cool thing they will be doing is, we should be kind of more serious about, is they will have an API as well for people to build applications against it. So anybody that's building
Okay.
space-based applications or developers working on that will be allowed to leverage their API, so that they can, to track data. They're also thinking ahead, so that everybody doesn't have to build their own tracking maps. And people, if you're looking to innovate, or you're looking to find your open space, or it could be that you're tracking satellites to repair them, or retrieve them, they want to be able to build that in. So yeah,
Oh,
quite
interesting.
a good mission here. This, for them, it's doing the right thing,
Hmm.
as you say, and treating humanity with respect, which is their company mantra. So interesting. And
Nice.
they are apparently tracking at the moment, what was it, 27,000 objects in orbit right now. But the
Oh,
number of
well,
items which are 1 millimeter or larger is estimated to be 100 million or more.
whoa. Okay, they got a fair way to go then. Yeah.
Yeah, but you got to think of it though. Something the size, it says here, there's something the size of a speck of paint traveling at 17,000 miles per hour can cause catastrophic damage to a satellite, which, yeah, I guess it would do, isn't it, if it hits it?
Yeah, tear straight through it.
Yeah, 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 absolutely crazy, but interesting. But yes, definitely have a look at it. We will be following that closely as all things space we do on this show. So, yes, please go play. So, well. The better ramp up the NVIDIA engine then, Carl, because we've got a lot to talk about.
We have first up. There's some more nuggets of information come out about their RTX40 or 4000 series. And they're looking to be a sizable upgrade from the current 3000 series. Yeah, there seems to be a big jump in cuticles, isn't there? So
Well,
obviously
this
we
is a
don't know
follow on from
names
last
yet.
week, isn't it? I was going to say,
It
this is just
is.
the AMD story.
It is. It's also from the other week where we talked about the power requirements, didn't we, for these new 4000 series, which said it could be up to 800 watts, didn't they? And now we know why. Obviously, we don't know the names, but we're going to have to speculate that at the top of the range, I don't know, 4090, maybe, based on their AD102 chip, is likely to have over 18,000 CUDA cores, which compared to the 3090 currently only has 10,000. That's a considerable jump up. And they're actually saying it's to be about, 170 odd percent improvement over the current generation?
That's quite impressive, really, isn't it?
But
But
double the power or more.
well, I was just going to say, yeah, I would be disappointed if it wasn't, a big jump over the previous generation, because ultimately you think to yourself, well, why am I upgrading? But yeah,
Yeah.
to get that power, they're having to ramp up the power, so to speak, on that.
Yeah.
And
It's not
in a
just
funny
more
kind,
cores,
no,
they're faster cores as well. They're adding things like more cache. So they seem to be mimicking AMD with their, is it Infinity Cache? Where they add like, I think AMD put 128 megabytes of super fast cache in front to help speed things up. Well, NVIDIA are doing a similar thing, up to 96 meg, which is a massive jump from their current 39, which only has 6 mega cache on it. So a big jump up there.
let's be honest, though, this is the very similar approach to AMD. But are we getting? Do you wonder whether we're getting to a point now where there are only so many ways now to increase the power and efficiency?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be. Because, I mean, they're even jumping down to 5 nanometer. I can't
Yeah,
remember what they use now. I think they might be using 7 nanometer now. So if they jump down to 5 nanometer, which historically by jumping down, you get power savings. If they're doing that and still more than doubling the power requirements, yeah, they must be hitting some kind of limit here.
yeah, it's got to be something in it. But just there's it's a bit like the CPU thing here, isn't it? It gets to a point where there aren't many other ways to manipulate the laws of physics.
Exactly.
In terms of how small you go down to with the nanometers, at what stage then do you are operating. You get to the point where you are operating on a quantum level, hence quantum computing. And I don't think we're quite there with GPUs yet, but it is getting to a point where the options I think are limited. And what we're seeing, with AMD versus Nvidia, take away the marketing buzzwords, the technology ultimately is doing the same thing, isn't it? Or getting the same
Yeah.
results. But still, like I said before, I'm very, very keen to see whatever the 40 series might bring. I'd be even keener to see a 3090 or a 30 series on my desk at least. If to be fair.
Well, maybe, just maybe, if you're quick on the 29th of March, there'll be a 3090 Ti with your name on it.
No,
And your
not
credit
because
card can cope.
my credit card may try to kill me. Um, yeah.
So I think we spoke about what the 3090 Ti. Nvidia announced it back in January, didn't they? When they
Yeah,
announced
they
their
did.
lower
Yeah,
end cards. I said more details to follow by the end of January, and then went silent and didn't say anything. Well,
it's like,
yeah, the rumors are now the end of this month we might actually get a launch.
well. I mean, let's be honest. It would be impressive if it did. Like you said, there'll only be about 3 available in the world. Um,
And they're already
and
pre-sold.
well, it'll be on eBay the following second for about £300 million. At this stage in the game, Is it worth getting it? Is it worth buying a 3090 Ti?
I mean, if I was looking to upgrade, I think I'd hold it out really till September for the 4000 series.
I, realistically, for the same amount of money, you know,
Yeah. And to
because
be honest, if that increases anything to go by, you wouldn't need to buy you could buy yourself a 4070 and have a similar performance to a 3090 Ti.
well, yeah, because ultimately that's what you'd expect, isn't it? If you step it up,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. People buy it. Don't get me wrong. People buy
Oh, of
it.
course it will. It'll fly.
You know.
Those people that have lots of money and just want to be at the fastest performance at all costs, they will buy it. And of course, the scalp as well,
Oh yeah, so
and the
scalpers will
miners.
definitely happen. You know, let's say I'd be quite happy with. I think at this stage, a 3070. Um,
Yep.
the 27, my 2070 Super doing really well. My bottleneck is the CPU now, which we've kind of been talking about.
Yep.
Um, but you know, yeah, look, they'll be out. We'll see it, as in the market will see it. But yeah, you won't be getting mainstream on this, and the prices aren't coming down enough either. I don't think for majority of people to do it. You know, you'll see it pop up
No.
on YouTube. You know, Linus on Tech Tips will probably have
Yep.
one, and those kind of guys, which would be cool to see. But the reality is, yeah, this isn't an open market GPU. Not when
No, I don't
not
think it will give that much of a performance increase over the 3090, to be honest.
no, and not when I'm seeing. You know, what did I see earlier that made me chuckle? Actually, I was going to mention it. Was it eBuyer in the UK?
Yeah.
Um, top a deal £309 for a GeForce GTX 1660 Ti.
How much?
£309 for a 1660.
Oh, wowza.
So it's a 1660 Ti with 6 gig of RAM running at 1.8 gigahertz. And I'm like, this is 2020. You are trying to sell me a 1660?
I think I only paid just over 500 for my 3070 Ti. And
I just
for fairness, I
absolutely.
only paid retail for it and not the inflated pricing, but it just goes to show you.
I mean, I've got a 770 overclock sat behind me here. Maybe I could sell that for
You'll get 200 quid for that on eBay, surely.
God, absolutely nuts. But still, you say probably more chance of buying one of those than there is a 3090. But on a more serious point for Nvidia, though, what we talked about, I think 2 weeks ago was it
Yeah,
2 weeks ago? It was, wasn't it?
it
The
must have
Nvidia
been, yeah.
has it's so Nvidia haven't paid up, which we didn't think they would.
No,
Again, I didn't expect them to either. But it turns out over 70,000 employee information, and what I mean is employee emails and hashes, have appeared on the web, haven't they? According
they
to
have.
Hunt and I've been pwned website, and he's not saying his sources, and Nvidia won't say, but they've been detected inside his data cache there as well. So not good news for Nvidia at all in that sense, is it?
No, not at all. And now, obviously, Nvidia only have around 19,000 employees, so I suspect this is including email aliases and groups as well as past employees. So to get that kind of information, they've obviously got deep access to the system, these hackers.
Yeah, deep is. I mean, this is wide open, isn't it? I mean,
It is.
and
And the other one that kind of falls in with that is they've also released the private, or doing the rounds is the private key for NVIDIA's code signing certificate. So it looked like that got taken in the hall they got away with.
yeah,
And we've started to actually already see malware come out signed by NVIDIA.
brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, oh, it's like it's not bad enough that basically, your whole employee information is dumped on the web for the world to see. You've now got Nvidia branded malware. It's brilliant,
Yeah,
isn't it? It's
exactly.
like, I
Awesome.
mean, where do you start with that? I mean, I guess
I
rescinding the keys.
suppose. Yeah,
You
rescind
know,
the keys. Give the hashes to all the AV vendors so they can immediately just block anything with that kind of key on it.
I mean, what do you do with drivers? I mean, do you
Reassure your driver. I don't know. It's a big job to clear up, isn't it?
massive job, isn't it? I mean, and then like you say, then obviously there's all of your employee information. So I'm is that US? I mean, 70,000 employees. I'm assuming is worldwide. So,
Yeah,
then
yes.
are you going to get hit with GDPR and other areas
I imagine a
regulation?
fair few organisations will be wanting a word with them.
Yeah, because you think let's say that's European employees. Some of that maybe. Well,
Yeah.
then the EU regulator's going to want a word
Yeah, it
because
was
they're
across
going to want to know.
29 countries.
Yeah, that's that's a lot of money. I mean, depends on how they
Mm.
look at it. Because if it was stolen because of negligence, um, you know, yeah, how do you go about that? I suppose I guess you could argue, well, if your car is broken into whilst parked at the supermarket, is that your fault or the supermarket's fault? The same way
If
with
you
if
left all your
you're
employee files in there, though, that's your fault.
well, yeah, that's the other down. That is the concern, isn't it? Yeah, agreed, agreed. It isn't good. I mean, what we're going to see from this, I wonder. We're seeing the malware, like you say. We've seen the driver sets that that have been dodgy. What else is there to be leaked? Was product information was talked about, wasn't it?
Product
Before.
information, IP stuff. Yeah, there'll be a lot more to come, I imagine. Maybe that's where this data on the 4000 series came from. I don't know.
Yeah, very very weird. I mean, this was what was it? The Lapsus dollar sign group, wasn't it?
Lapsus with a dollar sign at the end.
Lapsus,
Yeah,
yeah. Um, and to go back to what they actually wanted was ridiculous, wasn't it? They basically wanted Nvidia to open source all their drivers and remove the mining nerf from the
yeah.
driver sets. I mean,
Well,
how
yeah. I
childish is
question
that?
this one. I question this because obviously, when we talk about our next story, you'll see why. But there has to be more to it than that.
To me, it seems too simplistic. It feels like it's too childish.
Yeah, that's we want a £50 million ransom plus. We want you to do this just for the icing on the cake.
Yeah, like, it's almost like a bit like a script kiddie car style of approach, isn't it? Of give me this or I'm going to do that, um, rather than a genuine almost demand that you feel would have some commercial impact. Which I
Yeah,
appreciate it would have commercial impact, but it's not quite the same, is it? Oh yeah, we
no,
want you to make your GPU drivers available for Linux. It's kind of that sort of silly threat, isn't it?
yeah,
But as you say, these guys are doing something else. So
yeah.
there's more to this. So Carl, who else have they been talking after then?
Oh, poor old Samsung were also hacked by them. And I don't know whether this is before Nvidia. It's only just come out because there doesn't seem to be a ransom demand. They've just released 190 gigs worth of sensitive data. And that included things like source code for their proprietary
Oh dear.
applications, data repositories, related to various Samsung projects. Yeah, there was no public demands that we were aware of. It just appeared.
Which makes you start to question who are these people, and
Yeah.
are we looking at nation state actors?
Well, they're allegedly from South America, but in this day and age, they could be anywhere.
Well, this is it, isn't it? And you're right. They were, they turned up a few months ago, originally attacking mainly South American targets, Portuguese speaking language targets.
Yeah.
December last year was it? They went after Brazilian Health Ministry, the Portuguese media company Empresa, South American
Yeah.
telecoms companies, and a Brazilian car rental company as well. And they've also been doing DDoS attacks on the service against their targets, and it was, which one of them was quite funny. So one of them, um, for one of the companies, which was the Brazilian car rental company, they redirected the company website to an adult media site.
Oh, really?
I mean, slightly cheaty,
Yeah.
childish, I'd say, um, but they've also when they announced the Nvidia hack, which was done on a Telegram channel,
Okay.
they put, "We are not state sponsored, and we are not in politics at all." Though many researchers are unsure at the moment what the motivations and who they are here. So I'm very curious to see who these are.
Yeah.
I think there's more going on here than meets the eye.
Yeah. I imagine there'll be some more leaks coming soon.
Yeah, I think there is definitely. Um, Yeah, and Samsung, no public word from Samsung yet at this press stage.
No. And actually, Nvidia still haven't confirmed or denied that it is actually their employee data that's been leaked.
So this is where it gets. This is for me. It's where it really does get murky, because at what point though do you step out publicly and say yes, we have been breached, and
Yeah.
you have to publicly put your hand up and say, "Yep, it's us. We've had a breach. It's all out there."
Well, because especially considering Nvidia were originally saying it was just not not even a production server that was breached, which was clearly lies.
Yeah, but then if you are going to get done under the GPDR Act, can't
GDPR.
speak today. Thank you. My brain's in such a mess. So those listening, please, thank you so much for bearing with us, especially me, as my brain is not functioning. COVID fog. Yeah, if you don't put out a statement to say that publicly. Now, I know that if behind the scenes they may have already made contact with law enforcement, they may have already
Yeah.
alerted the relevant authorities, but surely part of responsible disclosure, part of that is responsible disclosure, surely.
Yeah, to the people whose data is now released all over the internet.
The stakeholders in it, yeah. And if Samsung are the secondary lot to do it, I well, it's how close do you keep it to your chest? And you're right. It'd be interesting to see if Samsung make any statement on this whatsoever. My
Yeah.
my feeling is they won't unless forced to.
Yeah, I suspect so, but I kind of expected a bit more from Nvidia, but clearly not.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like you say, maybe having to admit it implies that then you've got a problem, isn't it?
Maybe their hands are tied on ongoing investigations and all that.
Yeah, true. But again, though, I'm surprised there hasn't been a disclosure from them to say, we are investigating this. I know they
We
put some
suspect someone has
statements out.
breached our systems, blah
Yeah,
blah blah,
the
and we're
statements they put
investigating with
out.
law enforcement. Yeah,
Yeah, which isn't quite what they put out, is it?
no, not at all.
No. Anyway, it's that time of the evening once again for us to go. Thank you. Over to the Tech Round Rumor Mill, where two stories have come through the Rumor Mill. They are freshly printed on Rumor Mill paper, and we need to come up with some better gags for this.
We do.
So it was an Apple week like last week. We had the peak performance event. We had the Mac Studio, which was a beast of a machine. What we
We
didn't
did.
get was a Mac Mini, though you and I both seem to feel that the Mac Mini probably is being kind of superseded by the Studio. Or has it?
Yeah, I don't know. My feeling is that the Mini is now the low end desktop, not all in one, and the Studio is the high end one. But the old rumors are out, and the fact that we're later in the year we're actually going to get an update to the Mac Mini with M2 chips. We're going to get an M2, or just an M2 and an M2 Pro version of these. The M2 is still alleged to be an 8-core CPU, 4 performance, 4 efficiency ones, along with a slightly improved 10-core GPU. And the Pro is actually meant to get a 12-core, so 8 performance, 4 efficiency. But yeah, these M2s will obviously be based on the A15 architecture as opposed to the M1s, which were based on the A14 architecture. So yeah, interesting to see where they go. No more
Interesting though
information
is that
yet.
so interesting that the M1's based on the A14 Bionic chip. Well,
Yeah.
if the A14 Bionic is that fast, why am I not seeing that performance? Compared to an M1.
I don't know, but I suppose it's a starting point, isn't it? The A14 is hamstrung by power envelopes and thermal efficiency and all that kind of
Oh
stuff.
god, yeah,
But by
it's not.
putting in a bigger chassis, you've got a lot more to play with.
But I kind of see where we're going with this. We're right. The Studio now is the top of the line for the mini desktop approach, isn't it? And I
Yeah.
think it also replaces the iMac Pro.
So I did see rumors from was it Michin Quo today? I'm sure it was today or late last night, saying that there's going to be an iMac Pro still at the end of the year.
I don't know. The fact that they brought the Studio out that does that sits in that kind of power that envelope
Yeah.
space of what you get between them the top end desktop, the iMac,
Yep.
and the Mac Mini, and then obviously the Mac Pro, which is even better, supposedly. What did chuckle me, and I think we did mention this last week, is a studio display. Effectively, by the way, is just an iMac without the Mac in it.
Yeah.
Um, which is like what I had thought about it. So that I was like, hey, they're selling an iMac without the Mac in it. It's like, what the hell's going on there?
Well, they're selling the iMac Pro, aren't they, without the computer in it, because it's a 27-inch.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's like we've ripped the Mac out, we've shoved an A4, we've shoved an A14
And
in
later
there.
on, we'll sell you the back.
Yeah, it's like it's ridiculous. But I do think you're right. They have hamstrung the Mac Mini with the current lineup.
Yeah.
It would be daft not to bring out a more powerful one based on an M2 chip, because why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Would though they shove a M1 Pro and Max in it? I don't think they will, because if you shove a Max in it, you've got a studio.
Yeah, they're not doing a match. They're just saying the M2 and the M2 Pro.
Yeah, there's no way you'll get a Max in it, because that
And you
you
didn't
would
get the
just
Pro in the studio, did you? You only got Max or Ultra, so that would kind of make sense.
yeah, it probably would do. I would have preferred to have had a new Mac Mini. The studio's a lot of money. I mean, I'm not buying one, but if I
Yeah.
was, but we could see it. I don't know. The rumor isn't as well. We could see it at WWDC in June.
Could do.
Which would be interesting to see if they do bring it out then.
Or at least, at very least, we might hear information about the architecture.
Yeah, and maybe it's right. Maybe, as you say, maybe this would be the Mac Mini returns to its space as that entry level machine.
Yeah.
And if you want more power, then you do buy the Ultra, the Studio. Sorry,
The studio, yeah.
yeah. Okay, all right then. So what else we got in? What's the other story in the room mill this week then?
Well, Quo has been a busy man. So not only are we obviously hearing, and I think we've heard this for a while now, that obviously there is no iPhone Mini or iPhone 14 Mini coming. Instead, we're going to get an iPhone 14 6.1 and 6.7 inch, and then we're going to get the Pro and the Pro Max versions also in 6.1 and 6.7 inch. So we're going to get 4 phones, so a non-Pro and a Pro in each size. But the rumor is that the non-Pros are going to stick with the same A15 processor as this year.
Okay.
And you'll only get the A16 if you go Pro.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to make of this one. I mean, see the reason why. I mean, even next year, the A15 is going to be a cracking CPU still, and probably will be better than anything Android's got.
In a funny kind of way, it does make sense, because to me it would
Do the
be
people buying the non-pros really are they that into what processor it's got?
Probably not. No.
Or this is the run rate. I just want an iPhone, the latest version, and I'm not that fussed about what CPU's in there.
I think there is a degree of that. Of like, I want a Pro, and I want whatever the Pro,
Yeah.
gets you. To me, it seems like at the moment there isn't much. There isn't much of a differentiator, excuse me, between the Pro Max and the iPhone 13 top end models, is there?
Yeah.
So
No.
to have a different CPU in it gives you a differentiator.
Yeah.
And like, okay, you've got a Pro model here. Would there be really? Is this gonna do anything? This might help them with supply chain issues.
Yep.
That's where I think there's probably more logic in this, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, it's not the first time that they've done this. If you look
It's
at
been a long
the
time
watch,
since
no, if you look at the watch, it's got a new CPU, but nothing's actually changed in the latest watch CPU wise. I think there was a
different display.
I mean, but the actual CPU itself is a I can't remember what is it. Is it the I don't know. I can't remember what the watch CPUs are called now, or where we are. But
nothing. But it's exactly the same CPU as the one.
it is. I think there's one minute, tiny little difference in it, but basically it's the same CPU.
Exactly, and the Series 6 I've got on my wrist now versus the Series 7, you say there's no need to upgrade that. There's nothing at all that's going to give you anything on there. I don't know. I think the fact that they would get the same RAM. So if you look at the Pixel 6, for example, Pixel 6 Pro,
Yep.
Pixel 6, same CPU, but they get a
Yes.
different RAM in terms of capacity. The rumor here is again that they'd stick with the same 6 gig RAM across the board, but the Pro and the Pro Max would get was it DDR5? You said, wasn't it? Versus DDR4X on the
Okay.
standard.
Yep.
So slight differentiator again there, but again, realistically, for nearly everybody, you wouldn't, the average. I hate to say this, but the average punter in the street would not see any difference.
No. No.
So I kind of I get it. I think interesting approach. I'm not sure what the consumer gain here is, or the market gain here
No. I
is.
mean, me and you are still running the 12s, aren't we? What's that got? The A14 in it?
Yeah.
There's nothing I throw at it that even blinks at.
Well, no, because nothing can
What
it
would I
really?
use the extra oomph of an A16? What's going to be the bit that sells me that I need this faster processor?
No, I am puzzled by it. I'd be interested to do it again. As I say, it'd be nice to have a proper differentiator. But
Yeah.
what else is there here? I'm not. I'd like to see the Pro Max and the Pro, because effectively they're the same. Aren't they? Give or take. I'd like to see them be a standout device. Give me more than a couple of reasons to buy the Pro Max.
Yeah. Give me something.
Because
Not revolutionary, for want of a better word.
yeah, because currently speaking, the iPhone 13 and the iPhone 13 Pro, there's not really much in it apart from the camera, is there? To be honest with you, not really
No.
much in it. So
Yeah, the screen and the camera.
yeah, just I don't know. Maybe it's the COVID talking, but I'm a bit puzzled.
You'll be buying the 14 Pro Max, though, yeah?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Well, you didn't buy the 13, so yeah, you've held out.
I have held out. We're upgrading this year. We've already made
Yeah,
the
yeah, I
decision.
know. You weren't tempted with the green 13 Pro.
I was tempted with the green, and then I wasn't.
Yeah.
I was more tempted by the studio, but anyway, that's another story. Anyway, right then, I think it's probably a good time for us to wrap up there for tonight before I
Yep.
keel over in this COVID fog. Thank you for sticking with us tonight. We have had a cracking show. We'll be back next week for a fresh lineup of tech stories, including a look at the Elden Ring, the latest RPG. Yeah, it's RPG, isn't it? Which is
Yeah.
hitting the shelves, and all of the players are on it at the moment. We'll talk about that next week. Of course, you can find us on Twitter at Weekly Tech Rant, and all of our show notes are posted on our site at techrant.online. So give us a like, give us a review, tell your friends about us, and of course, you can listen to us wherever you find your podcast. So with that, I've been Jay.
I've been Carl. Have a good evening, all.